Welcome back to Buffalo Sports Banter, everybody, and it's good to have you. We're recording this actually on the 22nd of June, which is NBA Draft Day. Obviously, Buffalo doesn't have an NBA team, but still cool to talk about. We'll definitely talk about. We have a little connection later on in the show. Is going to bring it up, but Hunter, how you doing? It's another good Thursday to talk some Buffalo sports. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and it absolutely is. I know we've kind of reached the point where we're done with NBA, NHL gameplay, and now we're into the time of this little area of draft weeks upcoming for both sports, and then you really do get into what many call the dog days of summer with really what I could think of as MLB baseball, MLS soccer, and then we do have the Women's World Cup this year for soccer. But it is that time soon to come. But to start it off, let's actually discuss a little bit about down the line, a quite a coincidence, might I say, for both of Buffalo's pro sports teams. They'll be playing on the same day and at the same time. That's right. Sunday, September 24th, Week 3 NFL pits the Bills going down to Landover, Maryland to play the Commanders at 1 o'clock. And then an hour later, in our nation's capital of Washington, D.C., the Sabres will open their preseason campaign at the Capitals at 2. So from 2 o'clock and on, you'll have both teams of Buffalo playing the same city's other teams, say Commanders and Capitals. I think that's pretty coincidental.
Yeah, I mean it's only preseason, but still it's cool. I mean, especially with the Sabres, like yeah, for most teams you might say, oh, it's the preseason hockey, but for the Sabres, like you got a lot of young guys that are looking to make this roster, right? You got Savoy, you got Coolidge, you got I mean, you go down the line, there's a million guys, Ryan Johnson, I mean, there's down the line, right? So it is gonna be one of those games where for Sabres fans, you might want to tune in even though it's preseason. Like it might be a game that you say, all right, I want to see how these guys look. I want to see who I want to make the roster and yeah, so and obviously the Bills, it'll be a little bit of a bigger game because it's regular season. I'll definitely have that one on the big screen, where I'll probably have the Sabres one on the laptop. But yeah, I mean, it's still. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen that happen at
Yeah,
least in our lifetime. It's probably happened, but probably long, maybe early 2000s. But I mean, yeah, it's cool. It's really cool to see that happen. Shocked that they kind of scheduled it that way. Maybe they didn't care too much because it was a preseason game where they were just like, oh, whatever. But hopefully they can go 2-0 that day, and hopefully they can at least get the Bills to win, right? I mean, at least get the regular season game to win, right? It'd be unfortunate if the Sabres won and the Bills lost. It'd be unfortunate if they both lost, and the city of Washington D.C. would have be able to hold that over our heads all year, even though I feel like both teams for Washington are going in the opposite directions that both teams for Buffalo is going, especially the Sabres. I feel like the Caps are gonna start, you're seeing a big dip probably the next few years. Commanders, who knows what's going on with the Commanders? I mean, they got their whole ownership situation going on. I don't even know. I mean, Sam Howell will probably be their quarterback, right? Unless I'm forgetting somebody that went there or signed there, but I think it's Sam Howell. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be an interesting game, interesting day. Especially to see how Buffalo fans handle it. If most of them just go, I'm just gonna watch the Bills game, or if some of them do try to watch both. But yeah, I mean that's cool. I don't know if I don't know if I'll see that next time we'll see that happen. And if we'll ever see, I don't know if we'll ever see this happen with two regular season games. 'Cause that'd be
right.
something interesting, like in November if they had that
Mhm.
happen. But yeah, that's a cool little fact. I didn't even notice that when the schedules came out.
Yeah, it definitely caught my eye. I actually have plans to be at the Bills and Commanders game, so I'll depending on the Wi-Fi, I'll have to give the Sabres a score check. I would have been great to see that game be pushed to 7 o'clock so that fans could even make both if they wanted, if they were in uh, the DMV area there. But guess the schedules will provide otherwise. But neat little tidbit that I happened to come across, and yeah, so we'll see how it goes. And what we have about 3 months and 2 days.
Yeah, maybe they'll actually like change it. You know, maybe start a petition. It'd be
Could
cool.
be. Well, we could
Little
see about that.
get a little Buffalo petition going. Hey, let's have both games. Have us be able to go to both games. But yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely talk about that when that gets to that time. Talk about that day. Just see what we did, what we thought about how the dynamic of it. I know if you're there, you definitely have a different dynamic than me if I'm watching it both on TV. But yeah, cool little thing. Let us know what you guys think about that. Like if you guys think, oh, I'll be watching both, or I'll just be watching the Bills, or even if you just be watching the Sabres. that'd be interesting to me to see if people are just going to watch the Sabres one. But yeah, cool little thing. More hockey though. I want to get into real quick. You actually just brought it up right before the show. I believe it came out what 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes
Just
ago.
about.
Yeah, 10, 15 minutes ago. The NHL announced another great move by Bettman here. We were talking about this before the show, how much I love Bettman as commissioner. Um, but yeah, apparently no warm up jerseys, like as in like no pride jerseys, no military jerseys for them coming up this year. They'll have warm up jerseys, but no decorative,
Specialized.
yeah,
Yeah.
special decorative ones. Which obviously there was a lot of talk this past year. I believe it was Eric Stahl, right? It wasn't Jordan. It was Eric Stahl had that whole controversy, and there were a couple other players that had the controversy, but his was just funny to me because he just had the whole, oh, I've never worn it, and it's like, dude, there's proof, there's video proof of you wearing these jerseys in the past, and he was like, no, 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 I didn't wear them. Like that was just hilarious to me. But yeah, so I guess they don't want controversy. I mean, I'll let you give your thoughts on the decision first, and then I'll say a little thing about it. Hopefully, not get too intense about it. But go ahead.
Yeah, I would disagree with this. I mean, I think that what happened last year is, I'm sure, not the most preferred way of it going, but I think that's fine. If you don't want to wear a certain topic of a jersey, that's fine, but you will have to deal with any criticism that comes your way. I think that's a fine way to go. I know Ivan Provorov, the Sabres, Ilya Labushkin, Stahl from currently in Florida. They all didn't. It happened to be the Pride jerseys that they didn't wear, and I think that's fine if you don't want to, but you need to deal with any criticism that comes your way. Because should we take away the jerseys for those that don't mind or even support wearing them? I would support the cause why we wear them, why we see them worn. So I think that's really unfortunate to see the whole issue just being, not issue, but the whole topic being shot down, and now we can't uh, celebrate Pride. We can't celebrate military history. I that which even I was a huge fan of some of the Native American designs. I know Vancouver and Seattle were a couple examples of spectacularly designed jerseys that, according to this, we might not really be seeing on the ice anymore. So that's really unfortunate to see. That would be an example of nationalities and heritages not being able to be celebrated in that manner in which they were. So very unfortunate to see. I would heavily disagree with that call from wherever it came from.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: at the end of the day, am I going to be like super upset about it? No. Like at the end of the day, yeah, I disagree with it? Yes, but I mean, I think it's foolish to make a big deal about wearing a jersey. I mean, I got I did understand to an extent, like Labushkin or Provorov, or because they were both because of.
I think Provorov involved some of his religion, while Labushkin actually only said he felt that he was in danger. It didn't have to do with religion, so maybe a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I get it. I get standing up for what you believe in. I fully get that. But at the end of the day, right, you're wearing a jersey for what, 20 minutes
half an
in
hour.
warm-ups, half an hour? Like the stadium's not even full by that. Like I don't understand it to that extent to like, oh, why is it that big of a deal to wear it? Like even if you don't agree, I don't understand. But at the end of the day, this is the decision they're making. To me, it just seems like it's Bettman and the rest of the NHL saying, we don't want to deal with this, so we're just going to get rid of it completely. Which that's the part that kind of bothers me. It's like, really, you're not going to do that, or you're not going to do something different, try something different, even if they did get rid of jerseys and made it something else, like, oh, tape. They're going to wear the tape that's pride colored, or like military like appreciation games where they had the tape like that. Maybe they just said, okay, we're just going to limit it to that. But just to come out and say, oh, we're not doing any jerseys like that, that's a little crazy to me. Because again, what if there is a guy in the NHL that's part of the LGBTQ community, and now what are they supposed to think, right? Like they're probably a little on edge already. Probably, I mean, if I don't think there is one player that's ever come out right in the NHL, but
Not currently. I believe there may have been a Predators prospect. I don't know if he made the NHL, if he only got to like the ECHL, but we don't know. There might very well be one that
yeah,
hasn't outed himself or wanted to do that yet, and now it maybe he supported that opportunity, and now it's taken away. So
Yeah.
that's
And
unfortunate.
like, yeah, that's my thing is like, that's the thing. And I don't understand the whole, oh, people shouldn't ask them like this is their profession. This is part of the job description is to do stuff like this and answer why. Doesn't it, we don't have to make a big deal. Like if like I said, I understand to a certain extent some of the reasons why certain players didn't wear them. Um, but then again, there's players like Eric Stahl. Why should he should be questioned, right? Like that makes sense because he did wear it in the past,
And we know
and
that his government is not going to be
coming
uh,
after him.
for doing such a thing, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it. I'm gonna say, okay, whatever. That's what that makes it easier. If that's what makes people happier, go ahead. That's what we got to do. But at the end of the day, I also think it's not that big of a deal. Who really cares? But that's the NHL's decision. Maybe they'll change it in a few years and years from now. Um,
Or make it optional. If you want to wear it, great. If you don't, cool. And if it's not all uniform, once pun there, uniforms, so be it. So what if you don't all wear the same thing in warmups?
yeah,
Should not be a big deal.
yeah. We'll see though. Just a little thing, not too big. I know we kind of went on there for a little bit, but at the end of the day, not a huge thing. But you actually, speaking of we were talking about the NBA draft earlier. You have a little connection there that if you want to go ahead and inform everybody listening what it is,
Absolutely.
it's pretty cool.
So yeah, today is the 2023 NBA draft. Those that follow the sport, we all pretty much know that unless something catastrophically, uh,
Unless the Spurs want their building to be burnt down by their fans.
yes, that which would be catastrophic.
Yeah.
Unless something like that occurs in the next 2 hours and 50 minutes, Victor Wembanyama will be the first overall pick. He hails from France, and why that relates to Buffalo is that in 1970, I believe you would say the first ever Buffalo Sabre, if I'm not mistaken, Gilbert Perreault was picked first overall in the 1970 draft, and he is from Victorville, Quebec. So of course, there's a little French heritage connection there. I thought that was pretty neat. And yeah, and that's a way to kind of relate so a Buffalo aspect of a first overall pick to the NBA, which we once had, but we don't currently. And so yeah, I find that pretty interesting.
Yeah, and you're starting to see it. You saw it, and you've seen it in hockey for years, but you're starting to see it in basketball more. Overseas players coming in and more foreign players coming in. I mean, and even Canada, you're seeing a lot of right just up north. You're seeing a lot of Canadians come down, but you're seeing a lot of the French and you're seeing just a lot of players. I mean, right now there's an argument probably that the top 4 or 5 players in the NBA are all foreign players,
International,
right?
right?
Like you got Embiid, Jokic, all them, and now Wembanyama's coming in. I mean, Luka Doncic there. So yeah, it's cool to see, and just the whole French heritage and going to smaller markets.
Yep,
I mean,
Buffalo, San Antonio, right?
San Antonio, I feel like yes, it's a smaller. Like some people might think, oh, compared to Buffalo, they're definitely big. I mean, yeah, they're definitely bigger than Buffalo, but when you got Dallas Mavericks in the same state, I mean, it's going to be a little tough for you to take over that. But yeah, I mean, look, it's cool to see him going there. I mean, obviously the Spurs had a pick a while ago with David Robinson was first overall, and then Tim Duncan as well. So they've had their lottery luck, and I believe I don't know if I completely blanking on if you said this. That was the expansion draft, right? For the Sabres was 1970.
Right, but I believe that he was not on a previous NHL team.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
right.
But it was them in
Vancouver.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, cool little thing. I mean, Spurs might be the luckiest team ever in the lottery. Sabres obviously have not had that luck, so I guess there's another connection. I mean, not connection. Maybe it's not a connection. It's just funny how San Antonio's gotten lucky a lot in the lottery, and the Sabres. We all know what happened when they were supposed to get the first overall pick a couple years ago, but they did get it with Darlene, though. I will say that they did get it with Darlene, another foreign player, another
And Open
foreign
Power as
NHL.
well.
And Owen Power, and Owen Power. So I mean, I guess maybe maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was just thinking just because of Eichel, like that's the big one, right? McDavid should have been a Saber. I think a lot of people listening probably feel the same way. He should have been a Saber. Um, but yeah, little cool little thing. And you got anything else on that?
Yeah, well, not really. I mean, we'll see how the rest of tonight goes. I don't believe there are any actual Buffalonians or Buffalo connections. I could be wrong. I'd love to be wrong. With that are eligible tonight.
I don't think so.
But we will see what transpires.
Yeah, we will. We will see. I don't. Yeah, I don't think there's any players even from Buffalo or played in Buffalo or anything that are in the NBA draft today. I mean, we'll probably find out though watching it. But yeah, I mean, a lot of NHL talk we're gonna have today. That's the one thing we should have said that at the beginning. But you know, that's just how it is. We're gonna talk about a lot of NHL. I know last time we talked all Bills. Kind of flip flopping here. We had one where it was no Bills or Sabres. It was just Bandits, Bisons, and Mercs. But yeah, so today's gonna be a lot of NHL. I obviously did, in a week and a half ish, there's going to be the NHL free agency opening up, but there's still some Sabres news. Big topic that's been going on that I'm actually going to go with Olofsson trade. I'm going to go with that. That's been going around. Is Olofsson going to get traded? There's the league experts expect him to be traded this year or this summer, and it was kind of a topic with Sabres fans. I feel like before that report came out. I know when he scored late in the season, I think it was like one of the last games of the year. It might have been the last game of the year. Um, I think tweeted out just, oh, is this the last goal we ever see him score in a Sabres uniform? And I mean, I gave you my thoughts a little bit before. I'm gonna tone him down a little bit here, but yeah, I've been ready for it. I've been ready for him to move on, especially if you can get like a top four defenseman out of it with him and maybe a pick or maybe him and a prospect or whatever it is. But I will say he's not as bad as people say he is. But I just think he's run his course, and you can save that $4.5 million, I believe his contract is $4.5 million. You can save and you can give these other younger guys a chance. And it just, for me, it seems like he would disappear from time to time. He would maybe go on 3 game stretch where he has or 3 or 4 goals, right? But then it seems like he would go 15 games without even a point, not even a goal, just not even a point. And yeah, I mean, he can score goals. He's got a good shot, but Sabres got plenty of those guys. Plenty of those guys that have an amazing shot that can really get put the puck in the back of the net. So I think if you can get a defenseman out of them, I know there's been some talk with defensemen that we'll definitely get into in later episodes, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready for him to move on. No hard feelings with Olofsson for me. Just I'm ready for him to move somewhere else. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I know I was actually a big supporter of him going back to probably 2019. He was to me a Mr. Power Play. If you set him up right in the right circle, I mean he was money from what I remember. But I mean if that's just about all you're capable of, and it's been 4 years now since then, and the production definitely I would say has declined. I would say that if the right deal comes about, definitely don't be afraid to take it. However, I wouldn't kind of recklessly shop him around and take the first deal necessarily.
Yeah.
But I would test the market, see what comes up. I've heard some talk. I don't know the source credibility or if it's legitimate. I know it would not include necessarily a defenseman, but him and some picks involving for Carter Hart. So kind of a consolation prize. I know this will lead into another topic here. If you weren't able to get Hellebuck, if you are going after him, if you're going after another goaltender, I know that Carter Hart may be moved from Philadelphia, so that could be a team possibly that we see Olofsson end up with. It gets to be teammates once again with Rasmus Ristolainen. But yeah, so that's kind of what I would say. Don't rush it, but if the right deal comes about, don't get cold feet necessarily.
Yeah, I that's actually a perfect segue because we were gonna now then talk about the Levi UPL tandem, and that kind of can go in hand in hand with this a little bit with Olofsson being traded. There's been a lot of talk about maybe the Sabres trade for a goalie. Do I think they will? No, I think they will go into the year with Levi and UPL. I mean, I don't know if you caught Kevin Adams' press conference. I caught just a little bit of it yesterday. And it seems again like they are content with that. Now, again, could they be lying? Yes. Are they going to look into it? Yes. He's also said that. He kind of came out and said, "Look, it's part of my job to make sure I know every single possibility and I know the market on people, even if they're not interested in them, just to know what the market is for them, just to gauge what his guys might be worth." But it just feels like they're comfortable with the UPL Levi because when you talk about Hellebuck, at least that's the one with me where that one makes less sense than maybe Carter Hart would, just because Hellebuck is on a 1 year deal. You'd probably have to give him an extension, right? You're not just going to rental him. It'd be a 4 or 5 year extension. Are you going to give him a 4 or 5 year extension and then for what, $9 million and then have what, him and Levi play 20, 30 games a year? Probably not. Where Hart I could see it being, I don't know what his contract is right now. I'm actually going to look it up real quick. Um, could be more of a rental deal, where he's just, here for a year or two. Um, this is his last year of his contract, so he'd be up after this year. So yeah, it could be a rental deal. That one would make a little more sense to me, than Hellebuck. But I think they're going to go in with Levi UPL, and I've seen a lot of people talk about this and say it's not a good reason that they haven't had that much NHL time. I think I think it's a valid reason. They played, I think, 48 combined games in the NHL together, or like both of them. I mean, Levi's never played more than 30 in a season or 40 in a season.
He's got
I just,
5, 6.
yeah, I just, so for me, it's a risk because if, from what I saw from UPL towards the end of the year, was not something I was very excited about going into this year now. Do I still think he can turn around? Yes, easily. I mean, he's right. He has the tools. He can very easily turn around. Levi, on the other hand, I know it was 7 games. I'm sold on him already, but I don't know if I want to play him 40 or 50 games this year. I think I would maybe want to stay around that 30 mark. And I know that he would want to play all 82 if he could, but he's played 7 games. Like, he's never played that long of a season. He's never played that many games in a season. So for me, I'm really back and forth on the goalie thing. I don't think you can go wrong in any way. I think I'm not going to be mad if they go in with Levi UPL, but it's very risky. And if we get through the first half of the season, if the Sabres get through the first half of the season and they're hovering around 500, Levi's playing well, or one of them's playing well, the other one's not, you got to think then at least at the trade deadline to make a move. So I would agree with that, actually. I would agree with waiting until the trade deadline to see what you got with UPL and Levi. I think Levi obviously is never going to be, I don't think he'll be traded. I think I could see UPL traded down the line at the trade deadline. So now that I think about it, I guess I never thought about it that way, with just it could be a trade deadline thing, instead of just forcing it in the offseason. And then what if that doesn't work? Then you just got rid of UPL for whatever goalie you brought in. So I think it's going to be an interesting thing to see. I think you definitely don't want to bring in a guy that like Hellebuck that will take 20, 30 games away from Levi, or 20-ish games. I think you sit Levi at about 30. You set UPL at around 20 or 30. And then the last 10, whoever's playing the best, right? Or the last 20, whoever's playing the best, or even if you bring somebody else into the trade deadline. So I don't think you can really go wrong, because even if they did get Hellebuck, don't get me wrong, I think that'd be phenomenal. I think he'd be obviously a great piece. He's a phenomenal goaltender. But I'm going to side with keeping Levi, bringing in maybe a bridged goaltender, or riding Levi UPL until the deadline and seeing what you got. Because who knows? UPL could come out and just absolutely dominate, just like Levi.
To me, I feel like that you could have seen a trend last year with Ullmark and Swayman in Boston. How can you model what you have to be exactly like that? So I don't know the exact breakdown of the games played. I believe like something like 50-30. Maybe it was 55-25 in favor of Ullmark, or a little less than that.
I'm looking it up right now. Hold on.
Okay, because that was extremely successful. I mean, Jeremy Swayman, you could argue, could have started nearly anywhere else, maybe save uh, Tampa Bay with Vasilevsky, New York with Shesterkin, and the Jets with Hellebuck at times. But I think if you can find a way to model your setup like that, I think that would be spectacular. I want you. I do. I am very curious to see if other team you see that as a trend following with other teams, or if it's a different way of school of thought.
Yeah, and it's Luke or Allmark started 49 games
Okay.
or started 48. Sorry, Swayman started 33, and then they had Kincaid actually, Dalton Kincaid. What?
Keith Kincaid, I believe.
Yeah, Dalton Kincaid started one game for them. No, yeah, they had another goaltender start one game for them. What I will say is this: when it comes to goaltending, you've seen a trend the past few years. You haven't really needed a top tier goaltender, right? The only one that really in the past few years is what Vasilevsky. That's one that's like a top tier because what Kemper not really top tier. Um, who was goal Holtby was it for Washington?
That goes back to the Vegas 2017 series.
Was it Holt? Yeah, well, Holtby. I mean, well, I mean, Lightning had what three of them they were in.
3 appearances, 2 wins, right?
Yeah, so they had two of the win, and then you got Vegas this year. What Aiden Hill?
Yeah, no.
So I don't know. I think goalie's a tough topic in the NHL because yeah, do you want a great one? Oh yeah, of course you want a top tier. You'd want a Hellebuck at all times, but is it that important? That's the question I think. And is it worth giving that much up? Because for Hellebuck, you'd probably have to give up a pretty good prospect, a second round pick, maybe even more, maybe a lot more than that, even
I've
depending on what.
seen Jack Quinn maybe required in
Yeah.
such a deal of
So
that
I don't
nature.
think that one where Carter Hart might be more of a second round pick and a low
That's a
end
deal that
prospect.
I've seen Olofsson involved in.
Yeah, it could be like Olafson a
Yeah.
second and a low end prospect, not like a Kulich or a Rosen, but maybe like maybe Kioskov or something like that. But yeah, you would see a better package. So I'd be more in favor of Hart. I think that's an easy topic there, an easy conversation. And again, I don't think they can really go wrong. I really don't. It's going to be hard for them to go wrong. So I mean, Kevin Adams. Look, Kevin Adams is kind of like Brandon Mean in 2019 to me. You're seeing the uptick. You're seeing players make progress. Yeah, there's some moves that you're like, okay, that's weird, but he hasn't given me a big reason to doubt him yet. And I don't know if you think the same way, but he has not given me a single reason. Honestly, if anything, he's given me a million more reasons to trust him than not to with the way he's handled drafts, the way he's handled trades, everything, signings too. I mean, you got Tage's great deal, Cousins great deal, looking like Darlene's going to be on a good deal. Power could be on a good deal as well. I think I'm hearing 8x8, so 8 million over 8 years. So again, he seems like he knows what he's doing. So I'm going to trust him. I think that's that simple. And until he makes a move that I look at in a year from the move being made and say, "Wow, that was bad," I'm going to trust him because even Brandon Bean's made one or two bad moves. Right? Everybody does. Everybody in every sport makes bad moves. That's why I never understand people who go crazy over one move or two moves. It's like, one, we don't know how it's going to turn out right away. Two, they probably know a lot more than us. And three, what have they done more good than bad? And to me, Kevin Adams has done a lot more good. So I'm going to trust whatever he does, whether it's Olofsson being traded, Olofsson staying here, UPL, Levi, that whole situation. I'm just glad that, um, what's it called? What was I going to say? I don't think that I don't even know what I was going to say. I just completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, either way, I think they can't really go wrong there. Oh, yeah, I know what I was going to say. You won't have Donnie Granado putting him on the power play anymore and starting him over guys that probably shouldn't be scratched if Olofsson's moved. So that's the only benefit of having him moved. But yeah, no, I mean, Olofsson, if he's gone, have a good one. It was a good time. Could have been better. Wish it would have went maybe even better, but we had some good times together. UPL Levi, we'll see what happens. Sorry, I just kind of went on like a huge rant there. I know that I even made myself lose my thought there. But you got anything else on these two these two topics. I know I kind of just took that up. So I mean, Levi UPL. I don't know if you kind of had just a little bit about the other goaltenders, but anything else on those two?
Yeah, not a whole lot more. I think if I had to predict, I do think you'll roll into uh, puck drop on the season with those two as your working mates there. But we'll see what happens come deadline season in February.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll do it. We're gonna finish it off with our history. Yeah, I really just went on a huge tangent there, didn't I? So we'll go with our history. I'm gonna go with. I'll do mine first, which actually you gave me, Hunter gave me, because I've had a. It's been a week, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a week, but so I was unable to find one this week. I know last week I was really proud of mine. This week, still a good one. Buffalo related, also not really Buffalo sports related, but
A little
Buffalo
bit,
related. But in the NBA draft, 1970, same exact year, the Sabres had the first overall pick. Um, but the NBA draft, Detroit Pistons had the first overall pick. And obviously the Braves were gone by then.
well, actually, they would have
Or,
started at that
oh,
year.
wait, yeah. I don't even know what I'm saying. Sorry, I don't even know what I'm saying. But they didn't have the first overall pick. However, Bob Lanier, for those who don't know, born in Buffalo, and went to St. Bonnie's, drafted first overall. Right? I mean, he had a great career. He is a is he a Hall of Famer? I believe he is, right? Yes,
Yes,
he averaged 21 points in his career, 10 rebounds, a block and a half. He ended up coaching for a little bit. 8-time All-Star game MVP, rookie, first team rookie. He's actually got his number retired by two NBA teams, the Detroit Pistons and the Milwaukee Bucks. Been an All-American. His number 31 is retired by St. Bonnie's. So if you ever go to a St. Bonaventure basketball game, you'll see that. And yeah, he was born in Buffalo, New York. Passed away last year, sadly. So rest in peace to Bob Lanier on May 10th. 73. 73, pretty solid life there. 73 years old. But yeah, I mean, Hall of Famer, played 14 years, drafted first overall. Some other names in that draft: Nate Tiny Archibald. Love that one. I mean, I always loved Nate. Him. Who else were some of the short guys in the league? I mean, Nate Robinson's obviously the biggest one probably, but yeah, I mean, he's part of that crew that people always just put in with him, Muggsy Bogues, all them. Pete Maravich, Pistol Pete from LSU was in this draft. Dave Cohen's went in this draft. I mean, a lot of good names in this draft. So, um, yeah, I mean, it was a solid draft there, but number one overall from Buffalo, Bob Lanier. I don't know if there's ever been another Buffalonian go even in the top 10 of an NBA draft.
I know Calvin Murphy, not from Buffalo, but played at Niagara, went to Houston. A lot of Braves fans that from the generation that I talked to wish that they would have taken him. They instead took, I believe, a guy by the name of John Hummer, or it was either him or Swen Nader, two names that obviously not many know. So that goes to show the unfortunate there. Although, of course, McAdoo being the best in franchise history was I believe he had to choose between the ABA's Virginia Squires or the Braves, and he picked the Braves. So, yeah, a little NBA draft Braves history lesson there. That I could go on and on about that type of stuff. So I'm sure we'll find some more reasons to maybe get into that come draft review time or free agency time or whatever it might be. But yeah, so we'll see how the NBA draft goes to lead into that, and we'll see what transpires. But for my history fact, we'll head it right back to my I'll call them a unpaid sponsor. So once again, shout out to Buffalo Sports History on Twitter. But this one, I think, just for the description and the wackiness of this is quite interesting. So on this day in 1882, so I'm going to try to do some math on that. That's going to be, I'll just say 100 plus years ago. How about that? Bison's one-handed pitcher, Hugh One-Arm Bailey, an Irish-born and ill-tempered hurler, defeats the Trojans and future Hall of Fame pitcher Mickey Welch 17-6. Daly's temper was so bad that he never lasted more than one season with any team, including Buffalo. So immediately when I saw that, that reminded me of Jim Abbott, the Yankees pitcher who threw a perfect game, against Cleveland. So little interesting connection there. I know he only had his right hand, I believe. Did not have a left hand, if I'm not mistaken, for Abbott there. But yeah, one arm daily, one handed. So I think one arm is a little bit of an exaggeration, but fits the bill for the time period, I'm sure, in the 1800s there. But yeah, really interesting. I actually had no clue. I actually thought Jim Abbott was the only one handed pitcher to play. I mean, this wasn't MLB baseball, but it's still pretty high level back in the 1800s. So yeah, very interesting there. Once again, Buffalo baseball coming into the history to steal a show there.
And it is funny. I just looked him up, and so he it was his right hand. He was a righty. When it says died unknown, last confirmed alive in 1923. So they don't even know when he died. But yeah, he only played for 5 years, which is that's wild. And I mean, it seems like his stats were pretty good. I mean, he was again, it was a different, completely different era, but he had like a 2.92 ERA. That nowadays that'd be pretty good. I feel like. I mean, I know I'm not the biggest baseball guy, but I feel like that'd be pretty good. Did you say anything about the no hitter?
Uh, that was Jim Abbott, of course, not Daly.
He did throw one. He threw
Oh,
one.
I
He threw a
stand
no
corrected.
hitter on September 13th, 1883, a long time ago. And then apparently, yeah, he led the Union Association in strikeouts in '84 and struck out 19 batters in one game. So it seems like I don't know why he lasted only 5 years. I
Well,
wonder.
apparently his temper was so bad.
Oh, okay.
So imagine, to me, that seems like if Chris Sale from Boston, I know he cut up the White Sox throwback jerseys because he didn't like them, and then he also destroyed a minor league locker room with ceiling. So if those actions continued, that'd be like him fizzling out because of his anger management issues. But
Well, here's actually a little story on Wikipedia. Again, this is Wikipedia, so I don't know how true this one is. So yeah, one arm daily. He lost his left hand in a gun accident early in his life. So that's how he lost it. To compensate, he would fix a special pad over the affected area and caught the baseball by trapping it between the pad and his right hand. Sometimes, after long games of having to catch the ball, his stump would become sensitive. So sensitive, in fact, that he once punched his catcher for not heeding his warning to throw the balls back to him softer. I mean, I feel like it seems like he probably had a pretty rough life if he shot his own hand off, and then so I mean, I don't even know if we're bringing up a lot of our history facts are just they're the most random and interesting things that don't even make sense sometimes. Like they're like, what is this? It does half the time it doesn't even have to do with anything. It's just random stuff. Like
it's somehow, some ways connected to Buffalo.
I know that's the crazy part too. It's like you can make a whole museum just based off things you didn't know that happened in Buffalo. I mean that you literally could based off what we've been learning. So yeah, that's another good one. I mean, I feel like that's another good one. I still don't think that tops the first one you had, which was the
Hank Aaron
Hank Aaron.
being discovered from an MLB scout in Buffalo, and also last week's from yours. I still can't get over that score. Hope you had the over in that one.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, imagine how much money you'd lose if you put. Oh my. Yeah, I mean, this one's probably the funniest. I don't know if we'll get one funnier than that, but that is hilarious. That is. I just can't get over that. He was a fan favorite. That's what it says. Everywhere he played, he was a fan favorite. That is hilarious that they even put that in there. That is funny. Yeah, he was known for having a surly disposition and was not well liked by baseball executive, which was why he changed teams. But however, he was a favorite of fans wherever he played. That's the last line. So Hugh Daly, if any of you guys are related to Hugh Daly somehow, yeah.
Hey, I mean, I think it's the spelling's not there to match up, but it would make sense if he was to the great golfer John Daly.
John Daly has his fair share of little incidents himself, but yeah, that's another great one. Great way again to end off the show. I love when we do the history. I mean, last week was a different story because we did the whole Mount Rushmore, so now it took a while. But I love ending on what the history is here because it's just I never know what's going to come out of your mouth. And I never would be able to guess what would. But yeah, and every time I end up loving it. So, any last words before we hop off? Let us know, by the way, guys, down below what you guys think of everything we've said so far. Obviously, we did touch on a little bit of a touchy subject today, and controversial topic, which we usually don't do. We probably won't do too much in general, but it seemed like something that we heard about and we just had to talk about for a little bit. Again, if you guys disagreed with us, that's fine. I get it. We both get it. So again, if you have comments down below, we'd love to hear them. But again, keep them PG. Just let's have everybody have a good time, and just sometimes we'll have to talk about topics like that. But regardless of that, still lovely show today. A lot of stuff we talked about today. Any last words before we hop off, Hunter?
Not much more than, as always, let's go Buffalo. That could apply to the Bisons as it stands now. And let's wish for some great drafts to come up, NBA, NHL, and free agency periods. And so I know it's going to get wacky and wild, really from here on out with drafts and free agency. So I'm all for it. Let's go.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about coming up, even though it's the off season. Buffalo sports never sleeps, never sleeps. But we will see you guys next time. Like, comment, subscribe down below. It really helps out Built in Buffalo. Really helps out the channel. I mean, not even just us, everybody there. Go check out their shows. They do a phenomenal job, all those guys. And just they're an amazing group. So go check them out. Let us know, comment, like everything. DM us if you really want to have us ask us a question or just give us your opinion. Let us know. Our Twitters are up here on the screen. Give us a follow. Comment on our stuff. We love interacting with everybody. I love interacting with everybody. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Hunter, another great one as always. We will see you guys next week.